Welcome to this EDUcast, Number Reputation Management, Do It Yourself or Not, sponsored by Numeracle and Telecom Reseller. Our speaker today is Molly Slater, Product Enablement and Lifecycle Manager at Numeracle. Numeracle's entity identity management platform enables enterprises, call centers, and service and platform providers to manage the identity of entities and implement Know Your Customer Identity vetting, and verification policies. I'm Gary Audin. The agenda for today's presentation starts with the problem of spam, which we seem to never get rid of. Number reputation, about Numeracle, how Numeracle's number check solutions can solve a lot of these problems. Plus, we're going to provide some valuable resources at the end that you can take a look at. Molly, it seems that we still haven't solved the problem of robocalls. Are people aware of this problem and the business consequences they may encounter?
Yes, very aware. We've all gotten those calls, right, that say spam or scam likely, and your average consumer sees that, assumes it's illegal activity, which sometimes it is, and decline the call. And so a lot of those companies are trying to send legitimate calls, and the spam filter is preventing them from being picked up. Labels can harm perfectly legitimate, totally legal, wanted business communications, and they're largely unaware of it, that it's happening, unless they get anecdotal feedback from their customers. So they can very much impact a business's contact rate and result in lost opportunities.
I'm surprised at this slide. Can you talk about the risks that account for 25% of business calls?
Right. So as I mentioned, a lot of these businesses don't know. And about 25% of those calls that get to your phone that you decline are legitimate, proper business calls. And they're being blocked improperly, and they're being improperly labeled. And that can affect many types of calls. It's not just what we are used to associating with spam, which is your telemarketing, your lead generation. This is any industry, any business can be at risk to be labeled spam. No one is immune.
Explain what you mean by the word improper call blocking and labeling. Where does this come from?
Right. So in 2007, the Trace Act was passed by the FCC, and this was in response to consumer complaints and fraud related events to robocalls. And they started putting things into action, but there still isn't a definite solution. So the implementation of call blocking and labeling technologies by carrier analytics businesses created algorithms for all the major carriers, and they help to block and label truly illegal fraudulent calls. However, they went a little too far. The focus was on illicit callers. So legal call originators were completely overlooked. And as a result, many of those businesses were left suffering with those unintentional consequences. And because those algorithms are used by the analytical engines that are constantly updating and evolving, that means the spam labels can often come back even after you've cleared them off your numbers. And so, because the algorithm is driving the reputation and the reputational analytics, it can vary across all the mobile networks, and it does. So, the risk rating is really that raw perception of the data that's driving the presentation of the call labels themselves. And that's the problem that Numeracle saw coming and why we entered this space.
What are the carriers reporting about the numbers of robocalls they see on their networks, and what are they doing about it?
It's an ongoing issue with the analytics engines having to constantly update their algorithms to keep up with new regulations. And it's, you build a better mousetrap, there's going to be a smarter mouse. And despite battling the illegal robocalls at really a regulatory level, there's still been year over year an increase in the amount of illegal robocalls. So the FCC is still hot on the trail to block illegal calls, and legit businesses are getting scooped up and mislabeled. As of now, however, we don't have a definitive solution.
How can lead phone numbers develop a negative reputation that results in the appearance and delivery of negative call labels like spam?
A wide variety of reasons can contribute to that. Some are going to be in your control, some are not. One's in your control, things like dialing practices, but you could have something like bad number baggage, where the phone number was previously used by another organization poorly, and you're stuck with that baggage. So fixing the labels depends on which carrier, which analytics partner, and each one treats each number differently. So it could also depend on what industry you're in, just by the nature of your business or the types of calls you make, such as if you're in the lead gen, the collection space, etc. You could just be a high target for calls flagged as spam anyway, despite your dialing practices.
What is the FCC's role and expectations concerning these warning labels?
Any carrier that's been found to be passing illegal voice traffic, they're going to face heavy fines, lawsuits, blocking all of their traffic, really doomsday stuff. And to prevent their communications from being interrupted, carriers became way overzealous in the attempts to update call blocking and the labeling algorithms so that they blocked anything and everything possible. It really is, they tried to build a speed trap, and instead of that, they built a roadblock. And so it just results in more improper blocking, more improper labeling for legal businesses that are trying to just talk to their customers that gave them permission to do so.
It seems like fixing the reputation of your phone numbers is something that many businesses or call centers are unaware they need to take care of. Can you explain how this can be successfully managed?
Absolutely. We've run into company after company that has been given the advice to recycle your numbers, right? Cycle the numbers out. And at the root of it, that doesn't fix anything. So we focus on the identity. That's the core of our solution. And it's the gateway for reputation management. We make sure that we keep your numbers protected from negative labeling, and we keep callers compliant. And we even get ahead of the industry updates, the new regulations, and that all can impact your calls. We are ahead of that curve. And so when we establish trust in your calling identity with the analytical providers, then we can remediate the label, meaning it is removed from that phone number, and we don't let your phone numbers misrepresent you.
Does Numeracle have a solution for the spam labeling issues? Tell us more about what you do and how you can help.
So Numerical is a B2B SaaS and POS provider, and our mission is to protect legal and wanted business communications where enterprise brands and contact centers, that's telephone number providers and voice service providers, that can manage one or multiple identities via a platform that aggregates all of that together. And they now have the control of what's displayed on the handset and the delivery of their identity in their control, as opposed to just pushing it out into the ecosystem and hoping that it gets there properly.
Building off that, can you further explain Numeracle's entity identity management platform?
Absolutely. So Entity Identity Management Platform is an offering that a single point of visibility and control in the calling ecosystem is offered. We do this through our EIM platform. Numerical supplies actionable solutions for call originators instead of just rotate your numbers, right? We seek to verify the status as a legal caller, and we inform the stakeholders within the ecosystem, the analytical engines, the carriers, of the validity of the identity. And that response results in less improper blocking and less labeling of their calls. We also attach rich data elements via the management of branded calling campaigns. So when you put verified identity plus your number reputation core solution in place, you can vet and validate your calling identity and your phone numbers to ongoing protection, and your reputation is shielded from labeling incidents. And we also have the branded calling with campaign management and flexibility, which also helps with answer rates.
How does the platform take care of improper labels?
So remediation, I touched on it a little bit. Very high level, it's the removal, quote, of the label. But few providers offer a true number reputation management strategy. that delivers a solution to continuously improve and correct a negative reputation. We said that we keep on top of your numbers. We want to make sure that they're clean and healthy. That's because we do ongoing monitoring. So as part of the end-to-end identity management solution, we give the enterprises the control and consistency to define how their calls are displayed across all the different handsets in the wireless calling ecosystem. That's us. And so when we look at a really high level of verified identity and number reputation, verified identity is the status of an entity that has completed a Know Your Customer or KYC based assessment. And this decisively concludes that the entity has been vetted and validated to who they say they are. And that results in the number reputation having our protection as well. So reputation management for enterprises, BPOs, platform providers, telephone number providers, they can all take control of the call presentation, and they can gain access to ongoing spam and spam remediation, as well as be informed all the time of any labeling that's happening.
Is this an ongoing issue? How does your data quantify the need for a remediation solution?
Every year, the number of spam and scam reports to the FCC increase. In 2022, we saw a 160% increase in the remediations that we executed. And so based on current year trends and data, it's already much higher in 2023 than it was at this time last year. So the spam labeling is not slowing down. The call blocking issues are not going anywhere, unfortunately.
Can an enterprise or provider try to manage their number reputation on their own? How would they do that?
Absolutely, they can try to manage it on their own. But here's what it would take for you to manage your reputation, right? It's quite a few steps here, and it's all on your own. And Numeracle often is valued by our customers because we relieve them of that burden. And the flow chart represents the process to monitor and correct just one phone number. And so picture all of these steps with well-trained individuals, full-time employees, because depending on how many numbers you have, this could be something that takes an FTE all day. And then you add on the testing, which you do need to have plans, mobile devices that span the ecosystem, right? You have to have all of the different variations of the iOS on Apple. You have to have all the various Samsung and Android devices and be able to do real live testing. So that is a significant cost. So when we talk about, you could go ahead and do this yourself, absolutely. But in most cases, the management of it in one centralized place by people that do this day in and day out and have the software and the know-how to catch it, remediate it, and then release it back in the wild is worth the investment, because they don't want to have to learn how to do this. This isn't normally their business.
How is this different from solutions on the market that promise real-time monitoring solutions for those that want to try and take a DIY approach to their number reputation? What are the costs associated with doing so, and what implications do they have?
There's a lot of solutions that promise, quote, real-time monitoring. It's actually very, very expensive, the amount of data that's necessary to achieve that, as well as the upkeep of software and technology. So we did the math, and this is what it would cost you to monitor 1,000 phone numbers during business hours. And so to answer the question, why can't I just monitor and fix this on my own? We have debunked a lot of competitor solutions out there that promise real-time monitoring, and we set up the value of number check. There's more information on our blog about that, but a lot of these companies are claiming real-time management and real-time monitoring, as well as real-time remediation, which is simply just not something that any business really is able to deliver on effectively outside of Numeracle, because of the way that we have set up our system. and the relationships that we have with the analytical engines and the carriers themselves.
How is Numeracle able to manage the successful remediation of spam labels on behalf of customers?
And one of the benefits of having an aggregated platform that has relationships with all the analytics and the best pathway to remediate, we're able to do it very efficiently, and we cut costs and save time. And this has proven to be successful for our clients. And this has been something that is completely valued, and they see a very positive ROI in that investment, because instead of just keeping your head above water, you can swim.
What are the reporting cycles like, and what data is included? Is there a way for users to see how their calls are being delivered?
Well, absolutely. So we just actually implemented a technology that allows for our clients to go in and see real time how their calls are being delivered. Now, I'm going to say real time because we make a phone call real time. And after that phone call is made, we present you back with the label. And that is the latest enhancement to our platform. And it's just in support of Numeracle's number reputation management. And we want to give our clients that visual confirmation, the screenshot of the identity, the presentation, actual screenshots that they can take back to their organization and present. And that's live calls placed across AT&T, T-Mobile, and Verizon. And exclusive to Numeracle is our entity identity management platform. Our EIM customers that leverage NumberCheck have the ability to do that spot check and look at the display of registered numbers between regular reporting cycles. And it becomes really a source of truth. We have a number of different type of organizations that are leveraging this and finding a whole lot of value, because instead of having to wait a week in a normal reporting cycle to see how your labels are represented, and that could change between the first reporting cycle and the second reporting cycle. And so businesses want to have control. And if they get complaints of spam or scam or fraud on their numbers, they can hop into the Numeracle portal and check right away.
Numeracle has a knowledge center with 2 very informative resources on it. And I think you should take a look at them, because this is a complex issue and it's not something you just start from scratch. They also have 3 articles that I think are very valid for talking about the labeling and monitoring issues, because when you look at this as a problem, you say, well, where do I start? And this will help you there. This is the contact information for Numeracle's website and Andrew Licata over at Business Inquiries. And I'd like to thank Molly for attending this EDUcast. I look forward to you viewing more Numeracle EDUcast in the future. Thank you, Molly.
Thank you, Gary. It's been a pleasure.